Described as the best of times and the worst of times, there is no doubt Pat Capponi is a survivor.
I'm originally from Montreal, raised in a very toxic environment. Wound up in a variety of psych wards and psych hospitals. Diagnosis, depression, suicidology, things like that. Until about 1978, when I was sent to a private for-profit boarding home that had over 70 people kind of jammed in. And that became my springboard to get involved with advocacy.
Despite some positive experiences, Pat had difficulty escaping her mental illness and would be frequently readmitted to hospital.
So I determined that if they sent me to that kind of place, I wasn't going to depend on the system anymore. But I was moved to try to fix the system.
After a long stay at one hospital, Pat was sent to live in a private boarding house in Toronto.
But it was a very, very sad and heartbreaking place. And people would start to come up to me and tell me about themselves. And years later, I wrote Upstairs in the Crazy House in their honor.
After some time at the house, people began to see Pat as leader and someone who could help them.
Once I was feeling stronger, they helped me rebuild, because they would come and say, "Oh, there's a guy downstairs, he's doing this, can you stop him?" And so it was always it's good to be needed.
A couple of years later, Pat began TheCuckoos Nest newspaper.
I took it to a printer before I had any money. Welfare was like $208 then. But I was able to get it out. We sent it to government, Minister of Health, so they would think, "Oh my God, this must be everywhere." Send it to the paper. So we had a whole string of articles, mental patients know where to go, that kind of thing, to bring attention to what was going on.
This newspaper became the launch of Pat's advocacy for discharged psych patients. Pat has testified at several inquests and traveled across Canada advocating for better aftercare and housing.
So we kept pushing. As long as something was being done, I felt okay about it.
Storytelling became Pat's passion. She needed to tell stories of the incredible people she has met on her journey.
Right now, I serve on the Consent and Capacity Board part-time. I'm the first out person to be doing that, and that was Judge Ted Ormston, the late Judge Ted, who actually headhunted me for that. So I go into hospitals where I was a patient and participate in hearings to ensure that all the T's are crossed and the I's and stuff like that when people are being held against their will.
Pat also began a community group called Voices from the Streets. Voices is a training program that brings marginalized people from diverse backgrounds together to share their story to help shape public policy.
So when they stand up and start talking, there's almost a shock that goes around the room. This is us, because we don't get to admire each other. We don't get to hear the strengths. So that's been very powerful.
Pat is proud of all she has accomplished in her advocacy work, but realizes there is so much more to be done.
You can't stop just by giving an extra 100 or 200. You also have to make sure that people have job opportunities, that they have education opportunities, that there's a place to go, because mental illness really, really thrives on dead ground, on dead hopes. So people want the same things everybody else has. So to ensure that that's available to them, a way out of poverty, a way out of mental illness.
It means a lot for Pat to receive this award, but it also means one more thing.
To be rewarded for transformational leadership, I think, wow, that's pretty cool. But Jim Colwood used to say that the only purpose of an award or an honor is to use it to fight harder.